Hello and welcome to another episode of the Game Query with me, Chris Abraham.
And me, Jacob Ellis.
Now this week, I want to know, what is it about Blizzard's Hearthstone that has made it so damn popular over the last just over 12 months?
Yeah. 12 and a bit.
12 and a bit months. It's out there with 30 million players at the moment.
Yeah, not even subscribers.
No, I was about to say subscribers.
Just tripping up the tongue.
It just flows.
Yeah.
But no, just free, just players.
Free to play players of Hearthstone, regular, unique players every month, up to 30 mil.
That is my question, and I believe you're the man to ask.
You believe I'm the man with a slight Hearthstone addiction. Yeah, it's goodness. How long has it been out now? It must be over a year. I think we're probably coming into nearly a year and a half. Coming into the second big card expansion. So I guess probably we should start off. For those who don't know, Hearthstone is
those who've been living under a rock.
Those who've been living under a rock. Hearthstone is a collectible card game, which is entirely online, where you play against random folk. In a quite straightforward, but very fun and very tactically satisfying one-on-one matches. In a similar way to, say, Magic the Gathering. The only difference being that your card collection is entirely online. It is not a unique concept at all.
It is exactly, and that's part of my question.
Yeah.
That, with there being so many others that do the same thing,
yes.
Why is it that Hearthstone has gone from 0 to 30 million players in, let's say, 18 months?
Yeah. Okay, so I think to answer this question, we need to think back. We need to think probably back.
Let's go back.
We probably need to think back to the game which Blizzard is most well known for just before Hearthstone, which I guess is World of Warcraft. Of course there are others. But I think probably World of Warcraft is where we...
Well, it's the contributing...
Yes, the mothership. And it is the thing that contributes the
characters and the cards. And
yeah, exactly. So I guess Blizzard as a company took the concept of massively multiplayer online RPG, which of course also existed before Warcraft.
Yes.
And again, made something of a ridiculously popular nature. So, Chris, my question to you is, what makes World of Warcraft so incredibly popular?
That is a good question, because like you say, I mean, there's so many other games that do it, but it's currently, 11 years on, the most successful paid-for subscription-based MMO out there.
There are brief pretenders to the throne that pop up every now and again,
they
and
come
it
and go.
smacks them back down.
And they don't come from small places. I mean, you've got the Lord of the Rings Online came a few years ago. And
Skyrim Online.
It's got a huge following. It's got a huge universe.
Yeah.
But it just didn't
gain traction over the long term.
It's got a lot of players. A lot of people play for it. Yeah. But it didn't quite get the same last build. And Star Wars, the Old Republic, did the same. It was a bit broken.
How long did you play that? Did you play that for?
I played that until I completed the main quest line, and then just didn't bother. I went back to Warcraft.
Yes, yeah, and that's what, like a couple of months.
A couple of months.
Yeah.
And so many more games that Guild Wars 2, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just what I've come to think from Warcraft is it's because I've invested so much time in it already.
Yeah, but that's quite a cyclical argument, I think.
Yeah.
Can you remember what it was like way back when you started Warcraft?
Massive.
Yeah.
Huge. It was a world.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of that's been sort of dragged out of the game, but that's a complete different topic for a different day.
Yeah.
But I remember just being immersed in this world with so many different things to go, places to go, things to see.
Yeah. And
it was just so rich and full.
Yeah. Yeah. Like in terms of like plot, in terms of characters.
Characters, just the world itself.
Yeah. And your place within it was quite well defined, if I remember right.
You could go on your own adventures.
Yeah.
Sounds sort of sad saying it, but you could go on your own little adventures, and get into your own trouble.
You made friends. You kind of established a community.
Yeah.
And I think, as you kind of said, like these experiences aren't unique to massively multiplayer. Aren't unique to Warcraft.
No.
Specifically within MMORPGs.
No, I just think but it was the first one to do it well.
Yes, yeah. In terms of the scale, in terms of the presentation.
Definitely. I mean, before it, you had games like EverQuest.
Yes.
Which,
God.
they did the job, and they did the job phenomenally well, considering when they came out.
Yeah.
But Blizzard came along and looked at EverQuest and thought, right, there's a great game. Let's make it better.
Yeah.
And I think they were just the first ones to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing with Warcraft.
I think Blizzard got very good at simplifying what made those games good in many ways, as in like in terms of sort of building a character, in terms of kind of choosing abilities for that character, in terms of going on quests and things like that and doing things.
Yeah, they were very good at making it so that you needed to be in a specific group.
Yeah.
There was a lot of the game that you can't do alone. So characters' abilities were they were made to allow you to survive.
Yeah.
But not thrive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you had to team up.
An incredibly well balanced game then as well. Fair enough. These things I believe are all important.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the reward system as well. It's sort of the carrot on the stick.
Yes.
Do this for a few days, then do that for a few days, then do this again for a few days, and you might get the rewards you're after.
Yeah.
Or you might have to rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
So dangling the carrot
is
something that Blizzard have got very good at.
Exactly. So in Warcraft we have a game that was doing something that had already been done before, but doing it in presenting it a lot better than it had ever been presented before, doing it in a way that enticed kind of new players in, because the systems were simple enough to kind of understand. Like there wasn't sort of the complicated information dump that you would get with something like EverQuest. Really well balanced gameplay to the point where your abilities were strong, but not strong enough. That meant that you had to kind of team up with other people. You had to kind of engage in the social aspects of it, and this kind of ongoing reward system that you wanted better stuff to get further in the game. But it was kind of tied to like daily quests. It was tied to random loot drops. It was lots of, and this kind of formula. They did it better than anybody else, and they still do it better than anybody else does in many ways. And they applied all of these lessons onto Hearthstone very much when it came out. Is that, yes, there had been online collectible card games before it, but Hearthstone was presented fantastically compared to a lot of those other ones. It was fully 3D for a start. Like whereas a lot of the kind of other collectible card games, like the sort of Magic the Gathering ones, etc., that had come out before it, tended to kind of go with 2D models. Tended to kind of go with
logically, you think of a card game.
Exactly.
You only need 2D.
Why on earth would you render things in 3D? Would you kind of have like nice little effects and things like that? Like it feels from the interface. From the kind of the way when you kind of play a card and it sort of drops the character on, from the kind of the smashing sounds where you're kind of using your card's abilities to hit other enemies. It feels great to play, and you kind of sort of immediately sort of tap into those sort of feelings when you're playing this game. The other thing that they do incredibly well, or at least I felt they did incredibly well when I started playing. Just a little over a year ago now, was that they introduced new players to it very gently, and they, I don't know if you ever if you can remember the sort of starting things of Hearthstone, but you begin in the tutorial like there is sort of no other choice. You start off in a series of tutorial fights, so they don't even let you think about creating a deck or anything like that, but you start with created decks, fighting pre-made bosses, which all kind of teach you the game's very basic concepts in a very gentle way.
Yeah.
And they present those concepts to you incredibly simply. You gain 1 mana crystal a turn, which means you get to play a slightly better card every turn. Your guys have attack and health, and that's it. You hit somebody, their attack value gets deducted from their health score. It's incredibly simple. And they present all of these things to you in the first 20 minutes. And it's one of the best initial 20 minutes of any game I think I've ever played in terms of introducing what could be very complicated, overwhelming information potentially. If it was just kind of given to you in like an FAQ format or something you had to read.
Here's a list of the rules.
Here's a list of the rules. Yeah. Instead, it walks you through it step by step, and by the end of it,
it's like, look, if you do this, this is what happens.
Yeah, and by the end of it, you have killed Illidan's Storm Rage, and you feel like a badass. You don't.
You feel prepared.
Yes, you do feel prepared, despite what he might say in that situation. And I think the next thing that happens during that, after that kind of first 20-30 minutes of kind of getting through the tutorials, is that it begins dropping rewards on you. So I think you either get a pack or you get some gold or something like that from completing the tutorial, and immediately you open this pack and there's an amazing pack opening animation, and you get 5 new cards to kind of add to your collection, and it feels great, and you want that to keep happening. And you realise that there is a very simple quest system which then shows you what to do next, which suggests go and play a game in play mode. So you do that. And you might lose that game, but that's okay because you get another pack and you feel great again. And it keeps on doing this. Like it keeps on kind of giving you rewards for doing simple things that introduce you to each of the game's concepts one by one. So you'll encounter the leveling system through your first game. So you realise that your characters can level up. You realise your characters get more cards when they level up. So you then go, well, I want to level up all the characters then. And then when you level up one character to level 10, you get another pack. And then when you level up all the characters level 10, you get another pack. And then when you play Arena for the first time, you get another pack. And it keeps on coming. And so that's kind of similar to Warcraft's sort of daily quest system in many ways, like, or in terms of the kind of, there's always like something else that you want.
Yeah,
there's always,
and it's also fairly similar to starting off, where you start off with these, obviously, as you do with any MMO, the short amount of experience to level.
Yeah.
So that you start off getting that level up, new ability, level up, new ability, level up, and now I can equip plate mail.
Yes.
And you get a lot of rewards early on that slowly dwindle away, so they get further apart. Yes,
and that's the key. Is that because in the same way, when you level up a character, you're getting a new card every 2 levels, and often, if I remember rightly, for most of the classes, those first 5 cards are quite important.
Yeah,
like for Mage, for example, I think Water Elemental is one of them, which is a very powerful minion. You get that minion, you suddenly realise that your decks are just so much better. You get Fireball and things like that, like very important basic cards, and you suddenly have this new ability to play and you feel much better. The other thing is, and I think again a strong parallel to Warcraft, is that because it's online, and because you're playing against real people, you're encountering people who will have better stuff than you, and in a similar way, I think, to kind of World of Warcraft, where you'd see other people with better stuff than you and covet that stuff, you will then encounter other decks with better cards than yours and covet that stuff, and that then kind of drives the whole I want this card.
Yeah, and then before you know it, you're addicted.
Yes, exactly, and you're into that kind of cycle, and I think that's that initial hook is something that I think Blizzard does better than almost any other company I care to think about, and I think they've replicated that to some degree with Heroes of the Storm as well, in terms of that initial reward aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
And something that they've done with Heroes of the Storm is with MOBAs there are the standout few.
Yeah.
Dota 2, League of Legends, Heroes of New Earth. Them sort of flagship MMOs.
Yeah.
MOBAs, sorry. Excuse me.
Blasphemy!
Don't want to encourage the rage of the internet there.
No.
They haven't gone into direct competition with them because you can't. I think League of Legends holds the majority of the market share in MOBAs, just on its own. The others are close behind. You can't go into direct competition with them. They've got steadfast players. So what they've done is they've made a simplified MOBA where you don't have to learn different character builds. You don't have to worry about all the items in the in-game shop. You simply level up as a team.
Yeah.
You get to choose between a couple of abilities every few levels, and you win or lose as a team.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So they've just boiled it down, made it simple, made it very easy to pick up and play.
Exactly.
So you don't have to invest hours and hours of time into working out what's the perfect build for you to play, what list of items you need to get in order for your character to be decent at level 16 upwards and all that sort of stuff. So they're very good at boiling down the elements to make it accessible to a wide range of people.
Like, I remember the first time I saw Hearthstone was round at a time where sort of you and me and a few other people were kind of all just kind of playing video games together, and like you guys had kind of gone into Hearthstone a little bit before me, and I was kind of watching you guys play Hearthstone, and it's like, this is an incredibly complicated game. Where would I possibly start with this game? And for Blizzard to be able to kind of take something that is quite complicated, despite the fact that it is the most simplified, I guess, of almost kind of any collectible card game that you'd care to mention, and make it so that literally anybody could probably play that first 20 minutes and have a good time with it, and then probably go on to play it for another few hours and still have a good time with it, doing basic things, I think is a real skill, and something that is perhaps not recognised a great deal, sort of in the kind of video game industry as a whole. The ability to do an incredibly good tutorial and a very good kind of initial impact, and that hook is one of the things that I think makes Hearthstone very popular, is that it kind of grabs a lot of people in that first 3 hours and doesn't let go. The thing that sustains it, and I think again kind of a callback to Warcraft in this sort of way, is the amount of support they give their player base following that initial investment of time, is that they are constantly thinking about whether or not they need to kind of change cards. They're constantly sort of releasing patches, adjusting things, fixing bugs, and they are releasing very regular content updates. So in the first sort of 18 months or so of Hearthstone, there have been 2 party versus environment adventures where you go and fight AI bosses with your cards and have kind of new and interesting challenges and get more cards as a reward. There's been a massive influx of 150 new cards as part of the Goblin vs Gnomes expansion, and there is another 150 cards coming in about a month's time, and I think. And so the players that have kind of invested time in it feel supported, feel that somebody's kind of listening to their ideas, listening to sort of how they might want to play the game, and somebody's kind of spending a lot of time still pumping resources into it. And the other big thing about it, I guess, is that you can play it for free if you want. So not only are Blizzard looking out for you, but you're not necessarily giving Blizzard anything in return, particularly.
And that's the same with Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah,
it's free, but there are paid for.
Yeah,
bits like you can pay for card packs.
Yes, you can.
You can pay for your heroes. You can pay for your adventures. All that sort of thing.
Or you can grind them out.
Or you can
And it's not out of the question to grind them out.
No. But when you sit there, you play a free game.
Yeah.
And you think, I enjoy this.
Yeah.
I would have spent. I've bought such and such for £40 and not played it as long as this.
Yeah.
I can spend £6 on a few packs.
Yes, exactly. And it does microtransactions very well, in a non-obtrusive, non-pushy sort of way. So
yeah, that's important as well, because some games they come across with this free to play and then they're in your face every 5 minutes saying, you can't do that unless you buy this.
Yeah.
Buy this now, special offer.
Yeah.
For a limited time only, get all this for half price, or they don't gate anything off.
Yeah.
To paid users.
Yeah, and there are aspects of Hearthstone that in many ways kind of discourage you from dropping lots and lots of money on it, in a weird way. Like so kind of going back to the example of the fact that it's entirely online, and that you'll be playing with kind of your deck of basic and maybe like your one legendary that you've picked up from somewhere kind of cards, and you'll get hammered by this person that has a Ragnaros. And say you want a Ragnaros, they don't give you the option to go and buy a Ragnaros.
No, of course not.
You've got to go, if you wanted to, you could buy like 50, 60 packs, but then you still wouldn't be guaranteed a Ragnaros. You might be able to maybe disenchant enough cards, like grind enough cards into dust to be able to make a Ragnaros. But
then that's just
that's
not economical.
Exactly. So they make it
I got a Ragnaros, but it cost me £80.
Yes, yeah. So uneconomical to covet a specific card, which then means that you kind of go like, well, I might as well just keep playing it as I was playing it, and kind of keep on earning gold and kind of you get on average after the initial burst of packs, you probably get on average, I'd guess, about 2 packs a week. If say you're playing it maybe 4 or 5 times a week, doing most of your dailies. I would say probably about 200 in-game gold a week. Of course, if you're amazing at it, then you could probably get a lot more than that. But I suppose I think that would be kind of a reasonable average for somebody playing it a fair amount, playing it somewhere in the region of 10 hours a week. And which is a hobby, like I guess. So they don't sort of kind of gate those things off, and they don't kind of make it too easy to get them either. Like it's a very clever balance. If you want to give them money, I think the only things I've ever spent money on in Hearthstone are on the standalone adventures.
Yeah.
But again, they said this costs. There's like the Naxxramas wing with 5 wings to it, each of which costs 700 gold, or about somewhere between 3 and 4 weeks worth of grinding each, or you can buy the lot for like 18 quid.
Yeah.
For $25, which is pretty reasonable.
It's very reasonable. If you're looking at that particular part of the game, then you're already enjoying the game.
Yeah, exactly. And it's but again, they start off by saying this costs 700 gold a wing. Oh, it costs this much in real money.
You can get this for free, but if you want it a bit quicker,
you can do this.
You can do this.
Yeah, and
which is a very.
And we're aware that our player base will apply enough peer pressure on you to want it quickly.
Yeah.
As in, like, you could spend the next 5 months grinding out enough gold to get into Naxxramas, but in that 5 months, you'll be spending all the time being beaten up by the players that already have the Naxxramas cards.
Yeah, it's almost like we'll make the players be the bad guys, so we don't have to.
Yes, and it's very clever. Like, it is a very good way of distracting away from that. Like, and I think Warcraft does it in a kind of similar way in some ways. Like, it's not like Blizzard saying, like, oh my god, there's this amazing sword. It's like, that guy over there has this amazing sword. I want that. And it's a very subtle difference, and they do it very well. I guess so. We've kind of sort of thought of a few reasons why Hearthstone is so popular, and I think it is popular because it kind of sticks to the Blizzard formula of having an amazing first introduction to the game, and then kind of having a lot of sort of drip feeding rewards that kind of stick you to it. Hearthstone has developed over the time that it's been around. It's been around in beta a very long time as well, into a very popular streamed game. Like, I
was going to mention the streaming side, because my girlfriend actually likes watching me play.
Yeah. Yes.
Not that I'm very good at the game.
No.
But she likes. I mean, she loves watching you play.
Well, of course. Everyone's girlfriend loves watching me play.
But she likes watching me play, and that's odd for me.
Yeah.
What's the draw there to watching it?
It's a very difficult one to put your finger on, I think. There are a lot of very charismatic streamers. There are a lot of not very charismatic streamers out there as well. And I think it's not necessarily about the force of personality of the person playing the game, which traditionally has been what has kind of made a streaming game popular in many ways.
But it's consistently sitting in the top 5 on Twitch.
I think there's about
day in, day out.
There's something about depth of strategy, I think, and somebody who has the ability to kind of explain that in some ways. So kind of through watching somebody playing Hearthstone and explaining what they're doing, it makes you better at Hearthstone. Weirdly, so
tune in to Jake's live stream at Hearthstone,
which I'm sure will keep going again soon. So there is kind of that aspect to it, but it's a tricky one to kind of touch on. It also makes a fantastic esport, which I don't know if Blizzard had that in mind when they made World of Warcraft originally, but that's become a fantastic esport in and of its own right. And
it's almost this may cause some unrest.
No, go for it.
It's almost like the modern chess.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Because there's strategy and there's different approaches and. There are certain matchups that Trump, a very popular Hearthstone streamer, has gone on record as saying this is like chess, like Freeze Mage versus Freeze Mage, for example, a deck where both decks are trying to build a ridiculous combination and get the most value out of all of their cards before one of them fatigues. Like there are kind of levels upon levels upon levels of thinking. And you can tell that because it's developed a sort of language of its own, which borrows some things from the general language of collectible card games, but introduces a lot of new concepts as well, like people kind of describing decks as aggro, tempo, control, combo. That's where I get completely lost.
And it's just people thinking about plays in terms of mana, people thinking about putting cards on a table as plays, and then people thinking about those plays in terms of the amount of tempo they gain, in terms of the amount of mana efficiency it causes, in terms of the amount of card advantage. It sounds more like a poker tournament, or it sounds more like a chess tournament, or a complex strategy, because it kind of builds up this language around it, and then because the community around it has built up this language, and for that it makes Blizzard are really pushing the competitive angle of it, and there are so many Hearthstone competitions these days, all different scales, to the point where people are taking home thousands upon thousands of dollars for winning the big Blizzard ones.
Yeah, huge amounts of money. I mean, have you seen? Did you see at last year's BlizzCon the stage that they played?
Yes.
The Hearthstone Tavern and the bar and the room and the big roaring fire. It looked awesome.
Yes, it's tons to it, and it pulls kind of thousands upon thousands of people to view it and kind of get interested in the game as well at a competitive level. So it's the full spectrum from.
And it's got that same sort of thing as online poker, where you can sit at home and think, I'm only a relatively small amount of wins away. From being in that position.
And their rank system, where you gain stars every month and it resets every month, which is important, to become a legend, to become like the top 0.5% of the Hearthstone players in your region, and you get the same chance every month to do that. Yes.
So rather than I get to rank 15 and stay there indefinitely. I get to rank 15, and at the end of the month I get knocked back to the start and go again.
Yes, exactly.
Which means I'm going to come back on next month and get back up the ranks. That's another reason to keep going back into it as well as all the other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I guess, so we've kind of thought about the reasons why it's popular, and I guess it kind of that it stretches from the fantastic new player experience to this point where at the other level you can be competing on an international stage or streaming to thousands of people on a regular basis. So here are my concerns about
dun, dun, dun.
Oh my god, mid-episode turnaround. No, it's Stealing from Shut Up and Sit Down there. It's the issue with Hearthstone is that I'm worried that it's moving away from that new player experience and embracing more and more the experienced player experience, as it were. This is my concern, and I think this is not just an issue with Hearthstone, but I think it's an issue with collectible card games in general. For example, Chris, have you ever played Magic the Gathering?
I have not.
Why have you never played Magic the Gathering?
It's never really interested me.
Yeah. Okay.
And it looks very complicated.
Yeah. Those are basically the same reasons I have as well. It's the complexity of it. Everybody I know that plays Magic the Gathering has played Magic the Gathering for years, and I have no idea how to play Magic the Gathering. And I know that they've
got their own language, they've got their own talk.
And if I started playing Magic the Gathering tomorrow, I know that I would run into those things like a brick wall. I know there wouldn't be the kind of friendly little Hearthstone intro to kind of get me into it. And there's another fantastic collectible card game called Netrunner, which I was quite tempted to kind of pick up because it came out about a year and a half ago or so, about maybe 2-3 years now actually. Netrunner's had something like 10 expansions since then. So, I could pick up the base game of Netrunner, but then I would be 10 expansions behind everybody else that's currently playing Netrunner. And that's the problem I think Hearthstone is beginning to run into, in that the most vocal elements of their community are this group of people that use their own language, for better or worse, that have have these kind of very high level thoughts about the game and how it should be played. Notice the should be played aspect of it, and kind of Blizzard are fantastic at not giving these people tools to shout at new players.
Yeah,
but
that's key as well.
Is very key.
Step
in, sir.
When I started to play League of Legends,
yes,
the first thing I was hit with in the beginners lobby, I might add, was people raging because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was in the very first beginners room, fighting AI. But I was being accosted for not being in the right place, not doing the right thing, not picking up the right item, and that's not helping me learn to play the game.
That's not a good new player experience.
No,
at all. And Hearthstone avoids that entirely by only kind of allowing people to emote in 6 ways.
Yeah.
You want to talk to somebody directly, they have to accept a friend request from you.
And I think that's very important because we all know how volatile and toxic the gaming community can be. Yeah,
and people have even found a way to abuse those 6 emotes, and you can turn them off if you need to on somebody. If somebody keeps on spamming well played at you, then you can turn that off.
I squelch every match I go into.
Do you?
Immediately? I just don't bother.
Yeah.
I don't want any interaction with the person that's probably going to beat me.
Yeah. So there is a significant chunk of the pool that have played it for a very long time, are very experienced with it. There is probably a small but significant proportion of that group of players who are probably quite unsympathetic towards new players, I guess. And Blizzard have done their best to kind of make sure that it's still a kind of good playing experience for new players. But is it a good playing experience for new players? Because, again, kind of thinking about the sort of coveting other cards aspect of it, the issue with it now is there are 3 expansions to date. There's 2 sets of cards that you have to pay sort of upwards of £18 an expansion to get, or as we've said, probably a month's grind per wing for a new player. So that's 10 months of grind to get all of these kind of expansions for free.
Yeah.
Plus packs that are divided between kind of the base card set and the kind of newer Goblins versus Gnomes set as well. Hundreds upon hundreds of cards to collect to kind of build up your collection to kind of even vaguely rival somebody that has been playing the game for a year. So although yes, as a new player, you can kind of go in with your 5 packs that you've just got and feel awesome that you've just unwrapped a knife juggler and now it's going to make your deck awesome. And then you run into somebody that's running, like Sludge Belchers, that's running a Sneed's Old Shredder, that's running all these cards. You have no idea where they come from, and the barrier to actually access these sorts of cards is now really high.
And also there's a barrier between asking people for help.
Yes, yeah, and that's a very good point actually.
So that safety barrier that shields you from the toxic players is also shielding you from the helpful players.
Yeah, exactly. So you wouldn't be able to. Yeah, there's one kind of big omission in Hearthstone, or people kind of perceive it in different ways, is that you can't trade cards with other people, which is ironic for a game that's emulating a trading card game.
Yeah.
But it's so say if you were a player that played it for a year and you don't play it very much anymore, and you wanted to say kind of give some of your cards away to a new player, you can't do that. They could take over your account, but then
that's your whole battle.
Yeah, exactly. So
there's probably different rules and regulations about that. So we'll.
Yeah, exactly. So so I could, I've got say a couple of legendaries that I never use. I could give those to somebody who just started out, for example, in exchange for, I don't know, Blizzard giving me a gold or a dust reward. And I don't think that would kind of break the game. I think that would really kind of enhance the playing experience for both of us. But I can't do that. So I'm wondering what it would be like to start playing Hearthstone tomorrow. At the moment, I think it's probably still a good experience, just about. And I think the introduction to it is so strong, and even in the kind of ranked mode, you will be kind of running into a lot of decks that are probably in a similar state to yours as well.
Well, that's the thing. If the rate of people joining the game continues to stay fairly healthy, then that bottom end of the ladder should remain quite easy to contend with.
Yeah, but you need people to still be kind of joining the game and then stick with the game for a decent length of time.
But like you say, you join the game and you think, right, it's a free to play game, but there's already 40 quid's worth of expansion out.
Yeah, exactly, which you kind of need, because as we've already kind of said, the player base will make you cover what they have already, and it's. So I wonder, how many more expansions will it take before it kind of gets to the point where a new player just thinks the gulf is too wide, where your average person just kind of picks it up and plays it for a couple of weeks and then kind of goes yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I'm never going to be able to kind of get and unlock all those things that all these players have, and then it becomes a game, and then you've got a real problem, because then you're not getting people entering at the bottom end. I think there are things that Blizzard could do to fix this, and I think potentially introducing an ability to trade cards with players of a lower rank or with smaller collections than you, I think might be one of them. I think improving the reward system so that you get more card packs, so that you get access to kind of some of these other cards earlier, might be helpful as well. Just through dint of how long the game has been out for, the value of a pack of cards in Hearthstone is probably a lot less now than it was a year ago. That's a weird probably a weird sentence, but you kind of see where
it makes perfect sense, because it still costs the same amount.
Yeah.
But you don't need 99% of the cards that you get from it.
No, yeah, exactly. Each pack of cards is now a smaller percentage of the total number of cards. It's certainly a much smaller percentage of the useful quote-unquote cards in the expansion. They have done some things towards which I think are quite new player friendly, and they have kind of taken some steps towards giving us more packs. They just recently introduced Tavern Brawl, which I think is it kind of levels the playing field in many ways. It warps the rules and it gives you a pack for just winning one game, which is great.
I think they need to focus on the more random encounters, so that you've got what you've got then. With this week's one, you've got the ability to summon any card
Yeah.
The Mage Portal, which just gives you a random card from the game.
Yes.
So you've got the chance to experience cards that you don't own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas with the week before, you created your own deck, but had 10 mana from the start, so you were still using your own deck.
Yeah.
Which still excludes newer players.
Yeah. The week before was quite pay to win in many ways.
And a new player base could jump into Tavern Brawl and experience cards.
Yeah, that they've never seen before. A new player base can jump into the arena, which again is a very. I've tried not to kind of talk too technically about the game as best I can, apart from to illustrate how technical the game can be. But the arena is one where you get a deck of 30 random cards, or 30 cards where you get to choose between 3 random cards each time, and it's not based on your collection; it's based on all the cards in the game. So I used the arena when I first started out to try out cards that I didn't own. I used it to kind of experience what it was like to play this card and see whether or not I wanted that card and whether I wanted to pursue getting that card. So, and you always win a pack no matter how badly you do in the arena. So those kind of little things are very useful, and I think maybe kind of Blizzard could think more about making those even more accessible, like maybe kind of making it cost slightly less to get into the arena, maybe making it cost slightly less to buy a pack of cards, because a pack of cards is so valuable to a player that has an incomplete collection, but not particularly valuable at all. Like, it has no value to a streamer with 20,000 views who owns all the cards, for example. So yeah, I think Hearthstone is a wonderful game. It's easily been my favourite game of the last 12 months, by quite a large margin, and I think it's going to continue to be quite a wonderful game for a long time. But I think, and I'm sure they will, I think Blizzard need to kind of think about what it's like for new players right now. And I think because as soon as that experience starts to deteriorate, then it's going to be into a real problem quite quickly. Yeah,
because you'll have people going out one end and not coming in the other.
Basically, yes. You'll have people like me finding other things to do eventually.
Like old age.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody will be joining the game, and then it'll be just like all those other MMORPGs that failed. But yeah, play Hearthstone, and maybe I should start streaming it again because I've really got a hankering for it now.
And I think is that where we're going to draw a line under it for this week?
I think we can draw a line under it for this week. Query responded to.
Join us next time for another. Bye.
Bye.